Pike, the founder of Scottish Rite Freemasonry, developed a plan for 3 world wars so that eventually every nation would be willing to surrender its national sovereignty to a world government. The first war was to end the Tsarist regime in Russia. The second war was to allow the Soviet Union to control Europe. The third world war was to be in the Middle East between Muslims and Jews and would result in Armageddon. That's what they said. This has been on document long time. It even was in the British Museum, and people could go and read it over there. So they wanted to create this ordo ab chaos, this order out of chaos. Orthodoxism had to be subjected to Rome. Protestantism had to be eradicated. The Protestant nations were cut out, and enforced atheism was subjected and forced upon them for the over 80 years of the rule of communism. And once that religion had been watered down to non-existence, the plug was pulled out under communism. And these 3 wars that were to be fought were to bring it about. Now, here in the United States, they brought the Statue of Liberty. According to UNESCO itself, the Statue of Liberty, this is UNESCO writing its own workbook. The 7 sun rays emanating from Mitra's halo symbolize his triumph over the forces of darkness. Now remember that in the occult, the forces of darkness represent Jesus Christ. The throne in the north, the throne of God, is in darkness. The Latin text is a dedication by fellow priest to Sextus Pompeius Maximus, Roman period. The head of the Statue of Liberty, I'm quoting from UNESCO document here, is adorned with Mitra's 7 rays, and the flame she holds is also a sun symbol. So the same symbol that fired the French Revolution, the Jacobin hat, is the symbol of the United States. That's scary. That's scary. The Statue of Liberty, if you look at its base, there is its cornerstone. Do you recognize the symbol on it? It was Masonically laid. It was a Masonic gift to the United States by France, transferring the heart of the philosophy to the United States. They knew it would take time to ferment and reach fruition, which it is now rapidly doing. But this has been their aim from the very beginning. And they stated this aim so clearly by putting it on their dollar in all their occult symbolism. I'm not going to go into the details, but anybody can study this if they wish to. This is the occult symbol of the capstone, which will come down upon the pyramid, the 13 tiers of masonry, 1776, the founding of the Illuminati, the interpolation here of the hexagram, cutting the letters A-S-N-O-M, which is a scrambling of Mason. And if you look at the little owl on the other side of the dollar, on the 1, there is a half moon, and in the half moon, you will have a little microdot. And there it is. If you put your magnifying glass upon it, you will see the all-seeing owl of wisdom, the same one they worship in the Bohemian Grove. All the occult symbols, there are hundreds on it. I'm not going to deal with it. But they knew that this was their aim from the very beginning. In the Second World War, these were the main movers and shakers. Everybody knows who these 3 individuals were. They were Churchill, Roosevelt, and Stalin. Supposedly, these were the shakers and the powers that were arrayed against the evil side, which was the Hitler of Germany. And the whole cataclysm between these 2 philosophies. Now, who were these people? All of them, of course, high-level Masons. Vladimir Lenin was a Grand Orient Lodge member. Winston Churchill, a 33-degree Freemason, and here you can see him photographed in his Druid Order Lodge. Now, we all know that the Druids have nothing to do with Christianity, but are a pagan society who, worship the other one. There he is, photographed in his Druid Lodge, and Joseph Stalin himself, Grand Orient Lodge. All the quotes are there for those who wish. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, one of the photographs of indiscretion, here photographed in his full Masonic regalia, and here also photographed with Myron Taylor giving the Masonic handshake in his full Shriner gear. So these were all high Masons involved in this very war. If you look at Hitler on the other side and the Jesuits, Hitler said, "I learned much from the order of the Jesuits. Until now there's never been anything more grandiose on earth. And the hierarchical system of the Catholic Church, I transferred much of this organization into my own party." The SS, which is of course another occult symbolization, was constituted according to Jesuit principles. Himmler, head of the SS, was associated with the Jesuits through his father. Hitler said of him, "I can see Himmler as our Ignatius of Loyola." Joseph Goebbels was a trained Jesuit. So both sides, warring against the other, were just the Hegelian dialectic. One thesis, the other antithesis. Out of this should develop the synthesis, which was to eradicate all opposition to the beast power, so that eventually they would come to the point where they say, "Who can make war against him? We cannot. We either join him or we die." That was the only solution. So priests were involved in the movement of Adolf Hitler, no matter how much they deny it. They are the cardinals giving the signs. Here they all are, all of them in harmony, one with the other. And after this cataclysm, the heroes of this war were the Churchills and the de Gaulles and all of these Allied powers. And Winston Churchill then said, "The creation of an authoritative world order is the ultimate aim to which we must strive." Charles de Gaulle said, "Nations must unite in a world government or perish." I'm not quoting the small fries, I'm quoting the big guns here. And after the Cold War, which was to serve the purpose of making the entire world subservient to this system without anyone knowing how it was done, who got the honor and the glory for this activity? Let's look at it.
2,400 of his faithful here to welcome him. He's waving to the crowd. Archbishop Regali is alongside the Pope as he shakes hands with the First Lady.
We honor you for helping to lead a revolution of values and spirit in Central Europe and the former Soviet Union, freeing millions to live by conscience, not coercion, and freeing all of us from the constant fear of nuclear war. Your Holiness, on behalf of all of us gathered here today, indeed on behalf of all the people of our beloved nation, we welcome you back to America.
So the stage was set, and it was time to pay homage to the beast. So the leaders of the Soviet Union came and repented before him, and a new world order was to approach. He had a special cross, the one that he inherited from Paul VI, and we'll talk about this in a moment. And this was the man of the moment. In the book Keys of This Blood, Malachi Martin wrote, clearly the new agenda, heaven's agenda, the grand design of God, Masonic language, by the way, for the new world order had begun. And Pope John Paul would stride now in the arena of the Millennium Endgame as something more than a geopolitical giant of his age. He was and remains the serene and confident, another Masonic language, servant of the grand design. So here was the climax of history about to be implemented. Pope John Paul II speaking at the United Nations, asking for the nations to come together. His 2004 address to the world, his New Year's address, the entire address was dedicated for a call for a new world order. Pope calls for new world order.